Hello everyone and welcome to another tournament review with PMTT. This time I am joined by Barry. Barry, how you going?
I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. So the reason I've got Barry with me tonight is because he actually won a really unique award at a recent tournament that we went to. Just at the start, I will apologise if our memories are a little bit shoddy. This is the second time we've recorded this interview, just because my computer had some gremlins in it and the sound was completely garbled. But the tournament I'm talking about is the Games Workshop Championships, specifically the Heat 1 for Age of Sigmar. So we both attended it. It was about 2 weeks ago. And Barry actually won the Best Newcomer Award, which I thought was awesome that they had an award like that. So that's why I wanted to have a chat to him. And basically, how does a newcomer get into the hobby, go to bigger tournaments, have fun, and be an all-round stand-up guy that he's going to win these type of Best Newcomer Awards? So how did you get into the hobby, man?
So one weekend, my partner said her friend was doing a 2-day tournament in at Fitzy's in near the Hyperdome, and I was like, I'd always had an interest in the hobby. I never really got into it though. I always thought it was a bit too expensive. But after
Yep.
seeing everyone there playing with it, yeah, $3,000 later.
Yep.
Uh, after seeing everyone there with I think I saw some turtles. The friend was playing against Gargants with his Ogre tribes, I think it
Oh,
was,
yep.
and
Yep.
some zombie dragons. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give this a go. So I looked up at the different factions. The resources I found were saying a site Bone Reapers were at the top, but I think it was a bit outdated. So I
Yep.
eventually settled on either Seraphon or Stormcast because I love dinosaurs
Two
from
two
playing.
excellent choices.
Yeah, from playing Ark, which
Yep.
I've just finished playing now, and
Can you
decided
ever
to go with
really
big.
finish Arc though?
Well, you can finish the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I decided to go with the big heavy armor boys because that's one of my other hobbies. I build big sets of heavy armor
Oh,
for
cool.
cosplay. So yeah, I decided on them.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. And that's definitely the way to choose your army. I always go with walk into the shop, pick the coolest model that you can see, and play that because
Mm,
you're going to be sinking a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort into these models. You
yeah.
got to have your first army is something that you really like the look of because you're going to be staring at them for a very long time. Your top tier meta power list, net lists, they can come later, but models that you love is first. So I'm a huge fan of dinosaurs. So I'm playing Seraphon. So 100% understand that. Just go for the cooler thing. But Stormcaster in a good place at the moment, and obviously you've been doing well. I know you've been to all of the Gauntlet events so far, and I've seen you've
Yeah.
signed up for the next one.
Yeah. I'm
And
addicted.
yep, and that's great. That's great that you get to use your army and put it on the table and come to these events. But you've brought Stormcast to all of them. I know I've seen you at one other 2-dayer as well. So obviously you're doing something right and you're enjoying the hobby. So what about heats were you really excited about? Because I know it's a very unique tournament compared to a lot of the other ones.
Um, I just wanted to play, really. I saw it was a big opportunity to get some exposure to the competitive scene.
Yep.
So I was just excited to go and play. I wasn't expecting to place or get any awards or anything. And after the good community I've experienced so far with your own events, yeah, I just felt like going to enjoy myself.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like I know that's part of the reason I'm running all the gauntlets is people
Yeah.
just want to play games. If it's a 1-dayer, 2-dayer, 3 round, 5 round, they really don't care at this stage. They just want to play games. So the Games Workshop heats. So the big unique thing about these tournaments was standard tournaments have primarily are based on your battle points. So the points that you kind of get during the tournament for how well you're playing. The Games Workshop throws that out. Games Workshop tournaments throw that out. So they've got a three-way split between battle points, sportsmanship nominations, and painting nominations. So at the end of the tournament, everyone was asked to vote for their two favorite games, their like two favorite opponents, and their two favorite armies that they played. So each of those were worth a third of your overall points, which made it really unique because One of the guys there, Tyler, he went undefeated, but he didn't win. I think he
Mhm.
dropped only a single battle tactic over the entire weekend and just went absolutely bonkers. But he didn't win overall because other people did better in the painting and the sports nominations. So with
I
that
have
in,
played against Tyler, and his list is very strong. I think
uh,
it's the Pascal Blight Lords, right?
yeah,
The
yeah,
flying guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
all of
they're
them.
just ridiculous.
I played him on the weekend at the tournament, and he just completely annihilated me. He
Hmm.
made some big charges at the start, and then it was just a slow grind to my own death. There wasn't really anything I could do. Like, he's a good player. I know he did really well at the Sydney GT as well. So he's a good player with a good list. He gets a little bit of luck, good luck, and then he's unbeatable. So
Mm.
it does not surprise me at all that he went undefeated at that event. So, but with those unique scoring situations in mind, did that change your list that you brought to the heats?
No, I've been playing this list for I think three of your gauntlet events. Sorry if you can hear the sirens there. I live in the city.
Yep,
And my first list was just a bunch of Dragoths because I thought they were cool.
yep,
I ended up buying like 6 boxes of them and making just some crappy list that was uh, Fulminators, Infestors, and a Lord Celestin on Dragoth. It didn't do very well. But then I realized that Shootcast was becoming quite popular, but I didn't really like how squishy the Vanguard Raptors were.
yep,
So I just went with the Adjudicators with bows because I thought sixes doing mortals pretty cool.
yep.
Threw in a bunch of chariots because they do mortals for their impacts, and I just stuck with the list because it was working for me.
Yeah. So what
So
was the list? Break it down for our listeners. What did you
um,
take?
So I've got three Stormstrike chariots. They're like my main screen slash engagers with the spears. A block of 15 Judicators with bows. Lord Relitor with Translocate, High Priest. He's my general. Standard Gardas. So the whole list is in Scion's Hallowed Knights. And Knight Vexilor with the Pennant. So he can do a board by target teleport,
Yep.
even if they're in combat, which is fantastic.
Hmm.
2 units of 5 liberators and a unit of 2 fulminators.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that covers everyone.
I
Yeah,
think so. I think that was
yeah.
everyone that you had. So that's your list. You're keen for the tournament. You're there just to play games. First round, you rock up, and it was Savage Games, and you played Clint.
Yeah.
Now, this I know this was a little bit disappointing for you, not because Clint's not a fantastic opponent to play against, but because the weekend before you played at Gauntlet round four, and in the last round you played Clint in Savage Games. Both of you had very similar lists, so I knew I knew both of you found that a little bit amusing. But walk me through the game. Tell me how it went.
Deployment, I ended up taking, because we were both 8 drops, and I
Yep.
won the first drop, so I took priority.
Yeah. What was
Tried to
what was Clint playing?
Silverblight Gravelords.
Ah, yep.
So we had, I think it was a Man on Zombie Dragon, Manfred on foot, and Manfred on big weird horse thing,
Yep. Yeah. All the
and Radagon
Manfreds.
as well.
Yep.
So in the first game, I actually denied his Radagon completely by killing it off the board, but not in this one. He managed to get his wolves
Yep.
casting.
Well, that's good that
Um,
he's learning. He's not
yeah.
making the same mistakes. So
Well, I think actually, not to discredit him or anything, but it was because I split my shots. I went
okay.
for both Radagon and Manfred on the horse, and yeah, didn't kill either of them. I got them pretty
Uh,
wounded, but didn't kill either of them in turn one.
yeah. Yeah. So how did the
Um,
rest of the game go?
I got some good charges off. I dropped some chariots down on him. He managed to take my objective on his turn one, so he got his 4 points from that. That was just through a bit of careless positioning on my part. But I managed to pressure him enough. I did bring the Manfred on the horse down. Forgive me, I don't know the actual name of the unit. I brought down that Manfred, the Radagon, and Radagon had a unit of wolves next to him. I just ground my way through them and took his objective. He ended up burning the the objective on my far left, which I had like full control over. So like it just became the side of the board that I had most of my army in anyway,
Yeah.
and I just managed to sort of grind him out of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just a real slow, grindy gain after
Yeah,
just getting a little bit ahead at the start and then just grinding it out from there.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's one way that you kind of that Soul Light wants to play. They just want to sit there and grind because they're getting guys back all the time, and
yeah.
you're not replacing your losses as readily as them. But I'm guessing that his losses were significantly higher than yours.
Yeah, like I said, I got some key charges with the chariots, some big impacts, and Gardas just doing lots of work as he does.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. Well, round one. Um, Sant, you got up. Which is always good at a tournament. I know I'm always nervous the first round of a tournament, just that I'm going to make a mistake and it's just going to kind of just sit over my shoulder for the rest of the weekend, and I'm just going to be there, just I shouldn't have made that mistake, or
Yeah.
but you got through it, you got the win, so that's always good. So going into round two, it was tectonic interference, and you played one of the other Toowoomba guys. You played Gary with his Soul Light Grave Lords as well. So what was he? What did he have in his list?
I believe it's also the Manfred on Zombie Dragon. It's a Zombie Dragon at least. Um, Bella Dharma with a block of wolves to sit next to her.
Yep.
Spell Portal, um, Graveguard, Zombie. He had two lots of 20 zombies. I think it's a lot of 10 Graveguard or maybe 20 Graveguard.
I think it's 20 from memory.
Yeah. Um, and I think he had another hero.
I think he runs. Does he? I think he runs a necromancer in that list as well, but I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe. Um, so yeah, this one was like the weekend prior. I went my versus Gary, then Clint, and now I'm versing Clint, then Gary. So Gary actually beat me on the last weekend, so I knew that it was going to be tough to beat him. Um, tried some tricks. He failed a couple of key charges. I He gave me first from memory. My battle tactic was, I think, just a ferocious advance. But so I tried to pick off. I think it was his. Oh, the Blood Knights. He had a unit of Blood Knights
Yep,
too.
yep.
So I tried to pick off his Blood Knights just to get rid of like a good screen and a block of zombies that was sitting just outside of an objective. So I teleported my Judicators over there. I did a lot of damage to them with the Thunderbolt volley as well.
Yep.
And so later on, so that was my turn. Later on, he brought down a Manfred and brought in his zombie dragon. And I'd made the mistake of having my Judicators next to a piece of terrain, which I thought would protect them, but there was a gap there between the side of the board and the terrain, where the zombie dragon could actually like get within 9 inches. And he has a +2 to charge on his zombie dragon.
Yep.
I was sweating at that, and he had his Manfred with my Knight Vexilor. So the Knight Vexilor was just by himself, holding on to his board-wide teleport. And I thought, oh, he's going to kill this before I can even use it and get my Judicators away from the zombie dragon.
Yep.
But he was in the position where, and this was actually quite key, even though it didn't really change the result. But he had to use his reroll charge on the Manfred, which so he failed the first one, and he had to decide whether he wanted to save the reroll charge for the zombie dragon into the Judicators or
Yep.
use it on the Manfred into the Night
Oh,
Vexilor.
that's
Use it.
always a tough choice.
Use it on the Night Vexilor, on the Manfred. I think he got in, but it didn't kill the Night Vexilor, and then failed the charge on the zombie dragon.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so I was able to pull my guys back into the middle of the board, away from all the danger, and they were just picking off a few targets here and there. Lord Relator teleporting around.
Yep.
But in the end, that didn't save me. He managed to keep me off the objectives quite well. Like he was very good in his positioning. Belladama was bouncing between two objectives, and I just couldn't position properly.
Yeah.
So he won on points.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gary he's a very experienced player. I know he's been playing that Soul Light list for a while now. So it's not surprising that he is very skilled with it. And being able to kind of shut down your teleports, just keeping his eyes on the objectives there, especially for tectonic interference. If he can keep you off for a couple of turns, he can just get that unassailable lead, and it's quite hard to get back at. So
yeah, I think he had like 3 6-point turns, which was hard to beat.
yeah, yeah. Well, round two is a little bit disappointing, but that's okay. It's a 5 round event. You've only dropped one so far. And then you roll up into round three, which was the Vice. Now, who was your opponent again for that one?
I don't know. You might have to jog my memory on that one,
Oh,
Henry.
I think it was actually me. So
Yeah,
we played for in round three, which was a lot of fun. Because I've seen you at a lot of events,
yeah,
but I never actually got to play you before, which was cool.
yeah. I had wanted to play you, but being the TO, it's a bit hard.
Yeah, it is hard to play in events. I've been the buy buster in a couple of them recently, but unfortunately for the people who got the buy, I was practicing for the heats, so I didn't really take it easy on them, and
Yeah,
very much went. This is a proper tournament game, but it was awesome to play. So I was playing Seraphon on the day in Thunder Lizard, so I had a big Stegodon, a big Bastiladon, and then a ton of skinks to screen out, and then a couple of heroes that I kept in my pyramid: a Slan, a Star Priest, and a Priest. And then I also had a Celestant Prime as well to drop down, and then some Pterodons to kind of screen out and do some mortals. So, but I know how our game went. From your perspective, how did our game go?
Well, on that Celestin Prime, I completely forgot he was off the board, so he caught me by surprise. So I got a nice Thunderbolt volley and shooting phase off on turn one to your Bastiladon. Managed to bring it down because it the Thunderbolt volley and the Thunderbolt volley itself rather only did I think 3 or 4 wounds,
Yeah.
which forced me to sort of really commit to it. So I had my Gardas and the 3 chariots in the sky. Had to drop all of them in the general area. My Judicators had obviously teleported into position, sort of in the center of the board. Managed to bring it down with a couple of charges from the chariots and the subsequent shooting phase. Um, and yeah, so that was the Bastiladon down. But much to my surprise, there was a big piece of terrain which was blocking your big Stegodon, and I completely forgot about him as well, and left my Judicators fully exposed.
Yep.
So yeah, from when it came to your turn, you gave him like a billion buffs, made him do 1 million damage and flying,
Yep. Yep.
and the Judicators with their 30 wounds took 30 wounds of damage.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I popped every once per game ability that I had access to. Popped every buff, put it all on the Stegon. I think he had like 5 or 6 little tokens next to him saying all these different buffs. And then he only just got it done. But that was a massive play from me, just because if I didn't kill those Judicators, they were just going to be teleported next turn, and I was never going to catch them, because they'd do the exact same thing, take my Stegodon off, and then that was going to be game there. But managed to take them out. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to deal with any of the chariots in my turn. So
yeah,
that just started the kind of slow grind for the rest of the game over
yeah,
on that side.
I managed a big charge on the one that was near to your slam. Was it the slam priest?
Yep.
Yeah. So I knew if I could sort of incapacitate him, I'd take a lot of your magic away.
Hmm.
And luckily, I made like a 9 or a 10 inch charge and got him around a piece of terrain and stuck him in with some skinks as well, so they couldn't do anything either.
Hmm.
And I think your pterodons just didn't quite have enough punch to deal with the rest of my stuff.
Yeah, I slowly got through one chariot, but you kind of had horrible luck, but
Yeah,
then amazing luck. Your chariot that got into the slan kind of bounced off him and didn't do too much damage. But then you basically, from that point on, would just refuse to fail a ward save.
yeah, I
Um,
had Gardas in a very good position, covering
oh,
all but one chariot. Even the fulminators that I had off the edge of the board, uh, bringing them in into his nice little. This bubble was just covering almost my whole army.
oh yeah, it was like absolutely perfect play. And like when I saw where you put him and where you were moving him and keeping him there, I was just like, damn it, he's really learned a lot since I first saw him play at the round one of the gauntlet. So, but it paid dividends for you. Like the amount of 5 up wards that you were making infuriated me. I remember having a nice big whinge to Clinton, my wife, as we drove home. Um, but yeah, so you ended up taking that one out after a long grind of a game. After we both just kind of
Oh yeah,
went straight in, weren't holding anything back.
it wasn't easy by any means.
Yeah, no, but it was a really fun game. And like I really enjoyed it how with how swingy it was. It was kind of like, oh, if either of us won the priority for the next turn, then it's a kind of a big deal. Or I had a
Mm.
couple of abilities that failed on a couple of two ups, but it's just like, oh, I just need that next thing. I just need that little bit more damage. And you were the exact same. Like I think my Slan lived on like two health, and then the next turn took one damage, and you're just like, oh, I just need to put him in the ground. And yeah, it was a really fun game. It was a really good way to end day one. Even with for me getting taking the loss, so only going like 1-2 on the first day, it was still awesome fun. So, but back to you because you're the person that we're interviewing. 2-1 at the end of day one is always a good score to be sitting on,
Yeah.
especially because that podium's still in sight at
Yep.
normal tournaments anyway. And
I was working under that impression. I thought, oh, I've still got a chance with the 4-1.
yeah, yeah, and that's it. It's like 2-1 is still like it's a solid score for 3 games. Going 2-1 is a good result in my mind. So, but it's a 5 round event, so we can go into round 4. And you played Jacob in Feral Foray with his Gargants.
Yeah, his
So
blue gargants.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
he was running the Kragnos version of the list, wasn't he?
yeah, so he had a Kragnos, the Gatebreaker, the one with the hood, a Man Crusher, the little guy, and his general was the Kraken Eater, the one that
Yep.
kicks objectives around.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's quite intimidating with just how much staying power he had because he tanks up his general like ridiculously. I think he's
Hmm.
is it 40, 45 wounds?
Oh yeah, something ridiculous. It's a
Yeah.
massive damage check.
Mm. Well, so this one, I knew to be cautious of the Kragnos, but I knew if I could get some mortals into him, it'd go down pretty easily.
Yep.
I did make a misplay on it though, so he took priority. He pushed everything forward. He had his gatebreaker on my objective.
Mm.
So I sort of when I so again with the chariots, 3 chariots in the air, Goddess. I dropped them down. I had adjudicators sort of in the middle on my side, so they had basically free range on anything because it was all in range, and they were just plugging into the gatebreaker there. So I brought down the chariots. I brought one chariot down to block Kragnos from charging into them. I had a Gardas next to a chariot on his objective, and a chariot down near the gatebreaker that was invading my space.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so the misplay I made was the chariot I used to protect the judicators. I thought he'll survive a combat and be able to stop the judicators from getting charged. So I charged with everyone, Saintly Assault and everything on Guardius. That chariot was the only one that made the charge, the 9-inch charge. So I
Yep.
hooked him in there, and yeah, he did like 3 damage and died. So that wasn't great. So subsequent turn, Kragnos came into the Judicators, and this is where I really got lucky. He only took out maybe 9 or 10 of the Judicators,
Yep.
and then it was my turn. So the Knight Vexlor pulled them out, put them on his side of the board. Lord Relictor was over there as well, just rallying, brought back another 5, 6 Judicators,
Oh, that's
and
nice.
yeah, so as much as he has high wounds, the Man Crusher Gargant couldn't kill the Liberators in time for him to die.
Yep.
Um, the Gatebreaker died on my objective, and then Kragnos just died to the constant shooting, mortal
Yeah.
wounds.
Yeah. Okay.
I couldn't kill his general. It was too much damage, but I did win off
Yep.
points.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that you've got to always keep in mind. And it's like you said in game two, Gary focused on the objectives, and that's what won him the game.
Mm.
And that the Sons of Behemoth army is such a damage check, but for something like Feral Foray, where the objectives there's a lot of them, they're spread out. They can't be everywhere. They can't contest the whole board, and especially
Yeah.
your list with your teleports and the speed of your chariots and your fulminators. You can get there. You can take the objectives off them. He's got to be very careful with his positioning, and it only takes a few things to go wrong, and that's it. That's game. It doesn't matter how good of a player you
Yeah.
are if you don't have the models to contest. You can't contest, and Jacob's done very well at some of the gauntlet events, so I know he is a very good player, and he's done well with that Gargants list. So it's fantastic to hear that Stormcast can take out one of the. I don't know if they're still one of the boogeymen of the meta at the moment. I think Stormcast have kind of taken that spot, but
Yeah. In theory, because this was my first experience with Gargants, in theory, I had expected to come against them at some point,
Mm.
and I thought I had the damage to do quite well against them. And this, aside from the general, this proved that I kind of do.
Yeah, yeah, and that's good to know for future as well. You know, cool, to kill a Gargant, I need to put roughly 2 turns or 3 turns of
Yeah.
shooting from your Judicators into it, or you need to put a couple of a chariot can't come to Kragnos and survive anymore. So
And I just realized I don't mention the Fulminators much. I play them sort of a support backup cavalry.
yep,
Cavalry. Um, uh, so I only usually engage them sort of turn 2, 3, and onwards, just because they can be quite easy to kill. They give the free point now because of
yeah,
the Predators update. So yeah, and it seems to work quite well for me. Like people break through my Judicators, for instance, and I've still got these massive 3 damage Ren 2 guys just charging in,
yeah.
shooting fire everywhere.
And the fact that you have like heavy cavalry as just kind of, oh no, this is my second wave, it's my reserves, it's just something I'm keeping back here is a
Yeah.
huge thing that I know in our game. I killed your Judicators with the Stegodon and I thought I was going pretty well, and then 2 Fulminators and a Chariot go into my Stegodon and he's dead. So I was like, okay, that did not go as planned. I'd planned to keep him around for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So you made it into round 5. You're 3-1. Were you confident or were you really nervous?
I knew who my potential opponents would be, and the only one that I was confident against was the guy with the Iron Drakes, and is a Sigma,
Yep.
and I wasn't against him.
Yeah. Yeah. So your round 5, it was Veins of Gur, and you got matched up against Tim with his Lumineth.
Yes.
So he had a massive unit of Sentinels and a massive unit of Wardens as well. So just
Yeah.
all the infantry.
Yeah. And he also had the big cow with the hammer.
Yep.
He had the terrain, and his general was I don't know many of the names, but the female wizard, and she just sat in the terrain the whole time.
Yep.
He had a couple of the block of 5 guys with the big swords,
Yep. Yeah. The Blade
uh,
Masters.
and the guy who rides in the clouds,
Yep.
Goku, or whatever he's called.
It's a good enough game for him.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'd never fought Lumineth before. I just knew that the Sentinels were something to be careful of.
Yep.
Um, so
So
yeah,
so knowing that, how did the game go?
well, knowing what the Sentinels could do, I played a bit differently. I kept my 3 chariots and Gardas in the sky, but I also put the Judicators up there, which was
Yep.
my entire half army up in the sky. So all I had because it was Veins of Girth and no objectives and no point being aggressive,
Yep.
I just had 2 Fulminators, Lord Relictor, Vexilor, and 2 units of Liberators just in a tiny little corner in a little ball.
Yep.
And he had his entire castle army up in the top right. So he gave me first, and there wasn't much in the way of objectives to do. Ferocious Advance, he did the same thing. Turn 2, objective landed on his side, but I did, and it was right next to his cow. So he could move his cow up, and he took it. I think he won the priority, so he took the double there.
Yep.
So my battle tactic for turn 2, before I carry on, this is a very slow pace, but one wrong move will change the whole game kind of game.
Oh yeah, both of you
Yeah,
have like really
yeah,
powerful shooting that just deletes the other shooting
yeah,
if it gets in range. So it's kind of a, you need to hit first, but you can't be too aggressive because
yeah.
a real cat and mouse game.
And I'd force myself into the position, obviously, because the scions drop after in the end of the movement phase. I can't
Mm.
thunderbolt volley with my Judicators,
Yep.
so I had to sort of really time where they came in. But yeah, my turn 2 battle tactic, I had to waste the Night Vexilor on Liberators to do Savage Spearhead and get both Liberators Translocate and Night Vexilor into his territory, and then they basically did nothing for the whole game, which I, it's kind of a misplay, but it was sort of the only thing I could do in that turn for a battle tactic.
Yeah.
And yeah, eventually I dropped down I think it was on that turn actually. So I dropped down my chariots with Gardas and the Judicators all around the cow. And I think I picked, oh no, that was my Savage Spearhead. So I later picked Conquer to try and take it off him. But I failed all of the rerollable charges
Oh,
on the chariots. And I rolled horribly on the Thunderbolt volley with the Judicators into the cow. I didn't get any mortal wounds.
Oh,
Yeah, and I did maybe like 2 damage through his ridiculous save.
yep.
Um, how else did it go poorly for me? I eventually killed the cow. I got a couple of chariots in. I think I won the priority and got a double, so I was able to kill it that way.
Yep.
But he still had his massive block of wardens. I still had to be cautious of the sentinels, which
Yep.
fortunately I'd put him in a position where he couldn't teleport them to my judicators
Yep.
because
That's good.
he had to pick the battle tactic broken ranks, hitting my liberators on the other side of the map. So
Yeah.
my judicators were safe for a turn. But yeah, it was just a very back and forward match, and no
Mm.
one really had an advantage until turn 5, where I made this ever so slight misplay. I had my Fulminators and two like Relitor and Vexlor sitting on an objective that dropped in my territory,
Yep.
and I had them positioned slightly poorly, where it allowed him to get 7 Sentinels onto the objective
Ah.
and take it away from the 6 that I had on there because my
Ah.
Relitor had gone away off to help the Judicators. So I only had
Yeah.
6 units on there, 6 models. And yeah, so that gave him 5 points on turn 5, along with the objective that landed in his castle.
Yep.
So he had that on turn 5. I had no chance of taking that off him.
Yeah.
And the one which the cow had guarded for like 2 turns, which
Yeah. Okay.
I think I took that off him, but it was too little too late.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just shows that like it Veins of Go is a very very RNG driven scenario. Like I know in my round 5, if the objectives have come down in different spots, it would have completely changed the game. I
Yeah.
only just managed to win my game, but it was ridiculously close as well. One or two priority rolls or one or two key moments going differently would have completely changed. And it sounds like you had a very similar experience, which
Yeah.
Tim is an exceptional player, and he's been playing Lumineth for a while now. So to hold him kind of back for the entire game is an achievement in my mind.
Yeah.
And his Lumineth army is beautifully painted as well.
Yeah.
So
He if he didn't get that win, there'd be riots.
yeah,
The painting win.
yeah. So you ended up going 3-2 over the course of the weekend, which is not a score to be unhappy with. Like you won more than you lost, which
Mhm.
is always good. Especially with your losses definitely coming from your opponent was just that slightly a better player, which is
Yeah.
always good because it's not. It always feels bad if you went like 2-3 or something in an event and it was because of dice or because you made some big mistakes and you're just beating yourself up about it. When you can kind of at the end of the day go, no, I lost because my opponent was better than me. At least it makes me feel better because you're like, no, that's fine. I'm happy with that. I didn't mess up. I just am not as good as my opponents on the day. So, how did you feel going 3-2 at a big tournament like that?
I was just happy with that result and happy with the knowledge that I'd gained from like the two main opponents I had, which taught me to always focus on that positioning around the objectives. Don't allow them to like teleport within the 6 inch range of it, which I did on round 5. But yeah, I was just generally happy with it. It was a good experience for me.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. So if you can walk out of a tournament saying it was a good experience, then that's awesome. But in addition to it being a good experience, you got one kind of little award and one big award. So the little award that you got was you qualified for the finals that are coming up.
Yeah,
So congratulations for that.
thank you.
So that means you got into the top 8, which is always a good achievement to get recognition for that. But the other award that you got was the best newcomer because you've only really been kind of seriously playing for a few months now, and already you're qualifying for finals and doing well at tournaments. So that is a huge achievement that you definitely need to be recognised for. Hence why I've invited you on for this interview. So hopefully after this, when people see you at tournaments, they know that he might be new, you might not have seen him before, but you can't take him lightly. He's someone to watch out for.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to the finals?
Absolutely. Again, I'm not going there expecting to win, but I mean, I'm going to Heat 2 as well because I bought tickets for both of them.
Oh,
Again, not
nice.
expecting to do very well. And I went up to when I'd won the top 8 position. I went up to Andrew, the owner of the store, and said, "Hey, if I go to Heat 2, can I still play?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, but if you place, we'll just bump you down."
Yeah, that's
Which
fair.
which
So
I'm completely fine with. I just want to I want to test a little bit of a change in my list. Actually, I'm going to get rid of 2 chariots and put in 2 dragons and see how
oh
the
yeah,
extra mobility goes.
yeah, yeah. No, that'd be that'd be a really interesting change just to play around with your lists. I know I'm playing some fun lists at the moment that are just completely different, just for a bit of a palette cleanser.
Yeah.
But it's always good to test those tweaks to try them out before taking them to a proper tournament. So I also managed to sneak into the top 8 and score myself a invite to the finals as well. So I'll be seeing you there.
Not just top 8 though. You got first.
Yeah, well, I was in a lot of shock on the day. I didn't. I was gunning for a top 8 spot. I didn't know. I didn't expect to get anywhere near what I did. But apparently, most of my opponents thought I was a pretty stand-up guy. So I managed to walk away with the first place trophy, which was pretty fun. I haven't won a tournament in a while. I'm going to put that down to the fact that I've been running lots of tournaments and haven't been attending very many. So that's my excuse. But you know, I had a fantastic time at the event. Played 5 awesome games. We laughed. We cried. It was an awesome weekend. So we'll just leave it at that. But you're coming to the next Gauntlet event.
Yes.
I see you've already registered your spot down at Irresistible Force at Burley.
Yeah,
So
I'll be
it's
bringing my dragons to it.
very nice, very nice. So it's on the 14th of May. And depending on when this video actually goes out, it looks like there's still a couple of spots left. So if you are interested in that, jump on the event on our Facebook page, register on Down Under Pairings, because it's looking like it's going to be an awesome day. We're going to get the full 24, which is going to be fantastic. So hopefully I'll be seeing you there, and I'll be catching up with everyone else as well, which will be good. So, but that's pretty much it. Do you have any shout outs? Anyone that you want to call out specifically?
No, just a thank you to yourself for having me on here and for running the tournaments. They've been enjoyable since the first one in when was it? January. It's one per month, isn't it?
Yep.
So it'd be January.
Yeah. Easy way to remember.
It's been a great introduction to the hobby for me.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. That's the reason I'm running the tournaments, is to just get more people playing more games and to broaden the communities and get people to be introduced to the other people that are obsessed with the same game that we all are. And it just means that more people at tournaments, more people playing, more people talking about it. Game gets bigger, game gets better. So there's no downside to more people playing in my mind. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So let's call it there. And I'll see all you guys either next time or at the next tournament. Bye.
Yeah.